How's it going, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of this mini series where I go over 3 plugins, and in this episode I'm going to go over 3 free reverb plugins. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the first reverb I have for you here today is the Sphere plugin by Sonic Bits. Now, I'm a big fan of this plugin. I've gone through and tested it all, and yeah, it's really neat. So what I'm going to do to begin with is I'll go through all the different options that this plugin has, and then I'll try it out with some vocals in the background. So to begin with, this one does have some different presets, however only one of them is named for whatever reason, but we are going to stick with the large bright room today and we'll adjust the settings as we go along. So in the main section here you have reflections, which is to do basically with echoes bounce off the background with the reverb. Next to it you have damping, which is about the absorption rate of the higher frequencies, and next to it you have width, which is obviously how wide the reverb is. Then in the delay section, obviously you have the delay, not much else I can go for that. The feedback is similar to the reflections, however it's for the delay and it's just about the echo, and then you have the cutoff for the frequency that you want to cut the delay off. Then in output you have the dry and you have the wet, which is obviously to do also how much reverb that you're putting out and obviously how much of the dry sound you want to keep. So it's pretty straightforward, this plugin. There's not an awful lot to it. So without further ado, I'm just going to click play to play the vocals in the background, and then we'll go through and adjust the settings so you can hear how it sounds. So let's do it.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine, up and over where we first felt our divine, moving forward? Pick a road, follow the sign, heading upward to the sound of fire. I don't recognize the warning sign. Are we moving where the sun will always shine, up and over where we first felt our divine, moving forward? Pick a road, follow the sign, heading upward to the sound of fire. I don't recognize the warning sign. Are we moving where the sun will...
So as you can hear there, the reverb just gives the vocals some space and kind of makes it sound like as if it's been performed in a bigger area. Obviously, like the preset does say here, large bright room, which is exactly what it does offer. So it's a really easy to use plugin and it has a really nice sound. It doesn't sound tacky. The stock plugin that comes with something like FL Studio, for example, isn't the best. It's never been a reverb that I've really enjoyed using. Whereas for a free reverb like this, I think the results are excellent and it's definitely worth picking up. So that comes in the first reverb for today, so let's get into the second one in the video. So guys, the second reverb that I have for you is Lite by Supermassive, and this reverb is really interesting because in a minute when I go through the effects, it has some very interesting modulation effects as well, so I'm going to show you that. But overall this plugin is just really nicely laid out and I just think it's got a very clean look to it as well. And one of the best things about this reverb is if you go in the top right and then go on factory, you can see it's got lots of different presets for you as well. So I'm going to go for small space when I try this reverb out. So on the top row here you have all your different options that you get with any sort of reverb really. And obviously the big dial here is for your dry and wet blend. And the middle row is the really interesting one here because these 3 dials here is for the modulation, and then on the end you have your distortion as well. And then on the bottom here you just got your EQ, your filter and your width. So that is all the different dials that this plugin has, well basically the main dials that this plugin has. So I've got a little snippet in the audio that I used for the last reverb as well. So I thought I'll just play the audio, the vocals, and then basically just try out this reverb and see what it sounds like for you guys as well. So let's do it.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine, up and over. Where we first felt our divine, moving forward. Pick a road, follow the sign, heading upward.
So that's your just typical kind of basic controls that you have with any sort of reverb. So now let's get in and try these interesting modulation effects to hear what that sounds like as well.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine, up and over? Where we first felt our divine, moving forward. Pick a road, follow the sign, heading upward to the sound of fire.
Now, in complete honesty, I don't think the modulation effects work very well with vocals. It just makes it sound very strange. However, I do believe if you were to use this on a synth or maybe electric guitar, you can make something sound very, very interesting. But yeah, for the vocals, it just doesn't really cut it. So now let's try out the distortion to hear what that sounds like as well.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine, up and over? Where we first felt our divine, moving forward. Pick a road, follow the sign, heading upward to the sound of fire.
I do think a little bit of distortion works well with this particular vocal. However, too much just doesn't quite work, and it changed the character to an unpleasing manner. So now let's test out the EQ down here to see what that's like as well.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine, up and over? Where we first felt our divine, moving forward. Pick a road, follow the sign.
So yeah, it's really easy to use, and one of the good things about this reverb as well is if you hover over any dial, you see at the bottom here, you get a little bit of text that kind of helps guide you along, which is nice as well, especially if you're someone, you know, with very little experience. So if you click here on the space, you see you've got a few different options for like reverberated rooms. You get 3. If you do pay for the whole thing, you get 20. So I do think this reverb, the free version, is very good at maybe enticing people to consider or just to go ahead and buy the paid version. So let's try out Spring 1 and hear what that sounds like as well.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine?
Definitely a more spacious reverb. Sounds like it's in a hall as well. So let's just adjust the dials to see if we can get a better sounding reverb for the vocal that suits it.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine, up and over? Where we first felt our divine, moving forward. Pick a road, follow the sign, heading upward to the sound of fire. I don't recognize the warning sign. Are we moving?
So yeah, it's a really interesting plugin overall. There's a lot to it. It's kind of giving you a lot of freedom for a plugin that's the free version of a paid one. So yeah, I really do like this plugin, and I do advise you just check it out and try it. And again, with the modulations, if you're interested in those, I imagine you'd get the best sort of results with those if you try it out on a synth or a guitar. I don't know if maybe it would work on a bass. You could probably get quite a unique sound and bass. That might be something that you consider as well. But yeah, overall, I think this reverb is really solid for a free version. The quality of the reverb sound as well is really good. I haven't really touched on that. I've just mainly spoken about the interface and how to navigate around it. But the sound of the reverb too is good. It doesn't sound tacky at all. That comes in at number 2 in the video. So let's go on to the third and final reverb for the video. So the last reverb I have for you guys is Supermassive by Valhalla. Now of course you can't do a video on different reverbs and not have at least one by Valhalla. They are obviously infamous for doing some of the best reverbs out there. Now what I will say straight off the bat about this particular reverb is that it's very in depth. There is a lot going on with this plugin. You've got your reverb on this, you have like a delay on it. Now I know some reverbs do tend to have a delay with them, but none quite like this. I mean, you could literally just use this plugin as a delay on its own. Like, it's very in depth for that as well. And then you also have some sort of like warp modulation effects on this one as well. I know obviously the last reverb had a modulation on it, which is why I said it was so unique. But this one is a little bit different. So let's get into it. Obviously the interface, like most, is quite a nice clean look. You know, it's nicely broken down, so it's easy to use for your workflow. So you've got your usual sort of dials over here. You've got your mix and your width, and then this is where you have your delay and the warp, which kind of goes together. And then you've got your feedback and density, which again is normal for most sort of reverbs anyway. Then you've got like a little modulation section as well, which kind of goes hand in hand with the warp and delay. And then on the end here you just have your typical sort of reverb EQ. So the way this works now, I saw a video, well I saw a couple of videos on this plugin about 2 weeks ago now, and that's why I decided to add it to this video. And I've spent the last half an hour going through, you know, trying to navigate it and understand it for you guys before doing a video. You know, I don't want to do a video on a reverb that I've never used before. And it took me a little while to understand it, but from what I've understood is the kind of sound that you're looking to get depends here on the mode that you use. Now for this video I'm going to be looking at a vocal reverb, so I'm going to be going with Lyra, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And as you can see at the end here, you kind of get a little kind of indication about what each mode does. So if you're looking to use a more interesting style for the modulation, and I will get into that after I do the vocal bit, then you just go through the modes here and you can test them out. The way I kind of got the chance to understand this plugin is I went to the presets and I went through some of these, and that's when I kind of realised that the mode is probably the most important key to this reverb. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to play the vocals in the background, go through and adjust the settings so you can hear the reverb in action, and then we'll take it from there.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine, up and over where we first felt our divine, moving forward? Pick a road, follow the sign, heading upward to the sound of fire. I don't recognize the warning sign.
So as you can hear, that is a really nice reverb. Like, the sound of it is beautiful. It just sounds like it's being recorded in like some sort of hall. It's just a lovely sounding reverb. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the presets here, and we're going to look at the echoes so you can get more of a sense on the different options that this reverb had. And see now down the mode, it's gone for Centaurus. I know they sound like them stone things that people go on about, you know, your star signs and stuff, like Sagittarius, but that's not what this video is about. So if we go to mode and we've got the wave delay, now let's have a listen to that.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine?
So you can hear it's got some very interesting sort of effects. So now let's have a look at something else. Let's go to the pulsars and we'll go with the void. Let's have a listen to that.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine?
So you can hear it's got some very just unique effects. I've never seen a plugin like this before in my life, to be honest. It's a really interesting one, and I think you could spend a good 2 hours just going through this and you'll discover new stuff with it. It's very interesting. Let's go to modulation, we'll go to ambience, and we'll go with small dark room.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine?
So that one's just pretty a dry sounding one. I know it's a vocal, but let's go for the synth one and hear what that sounds like.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine?
Sounds alright, a little bit dry, so like it's just recorded in a booth. But yeah, you can see this plugin just has a lot to offer, and if you really play around with these effects here, we go to, let's say, Hydra, you know, double echoes, long decay, turn up the delay, do all this.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine? Up and over where we first met our divine.
So yeah, like there's so much to this plugin, you know, this is where you get your different types of delays. So there's a lot in this plugin, and it's crazy, it's crazy.
Are we moving where the sun will always shine? Up and over where we first met.
So I do recommend, if you get this plugin, before you actually try and use on an actual song, spend maybe even an hour, 2 hours just going through it to fully understand this plugin. I'm definitely going to spend more time in the future going through this, because I think this is a great plugin to have in your collection. It's so interesting because it's a reverb, you know, it's a delay, and you can have some interesting effects with the kind of the warp sort of modulation sounds as well. But yeah, this is the last reverb that I'm going to have for you guys in this video. I hope you like it. I do apologise because I know with this reverb in particular, you know, I'm not the most experienced with it and the most educated. However, you know, there is a lot going on, and I hope I've given you at least a rough idea on what it's capable of, and you can go on to maybe use it and try it out for yourself. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I've given you another 3 more options for plugins to add to your collection that are free. Obviously this is the reverb ones, and tomorrow I will have ones on distortion, 3 free distortion plugins for you guys. And yeah, if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me. But yeah, I'll see you tomorrow guys. Thank you and bye.